Hello, everyone. I am very happy once again to have Bob Urichuck in our special guest section of the show. And Bob, you have seen him already on the show, but I mean, this time he's going to be talking about sales because possibly you do not know, but Bob is the number 4th sales, most popular and most effective sales guru in the world. And I think he has incredible information to share with us. So before I actually start talking about the core matter of his book and also the different systems that he's teaching and operating now, possibly, Bob, can you tell us how did you manage to get yourself into the 4th position of all the gurus in the world? How does that work?
That's good. Well, I guess it's been 15 years of training corporate 500 corporations around the world, from Singapore, Dubai, etc. I've been using them as hubs, as you know. So I think what happened here is sales has gone through a transition. Traditional and consultative selling no longer works, and there's a white paper you can download on my webpage about that. And the thing is I took a different approach. I teach the opposite of selling. The opposite of selling is buying. People prefer to buy than be sold. So what I did is I created the buyer-focused velocity selling system whereby you learn how to attract, engage, and empower buyers to buy from you.
Cool. That sounds absolutely great, and I fully agree with you. Now the question is, how do you do that? Because I think that's what I think our audience would like to find out more. So if you can just tell us a little bit of how the velocity system works, that would be great.
Okay, well, first of all, we have to understand that sales is the foundation to every organization in the world. Without sales, there's no revenue. Without revenue, organizations would not exist and no one would have a job. Although sales has been traditionally the worst reputation in the world as a profession, it is by far the most important because without sales, we've got nothing. It is the bottom line to every organization. Hence the title of my book, Up Your Bottom Line. You want to up your bottom line? You don't cut staff. You don't cut back. You put more focus on the sales area because the sales is your lifeline. It's your revenue coming in all the time. So what we do is we take a look at sales in different ways. We look at who's really in control of the sales process. Right now, salespeople are constantly being rejected. That's because the buyer is in control. So how can salespeople, business owners, leaders gain back the control? So what we do is we show them the way buyers buy so they understand how buyers buy. When you know how buyers buy, well, then you're in a better position to learn how to attract them and engage them. So what we do is we cover it in 4 different sections. First thing we have to understand is it's a lot to do with attitude. People, for example, may not want to be in sales because there's that perception about being a salesperson. But if you take a look at something like effective listening, most people would say it's a competency. But you cannot become a competent listener until you have the behavior, you practice listening. But you won't practice listening until you have the attitude, which is the desire to want to listen. So what we find is, how do customers want to be treated? As buyers, how do they want to be treated? And what kind of an attitude can we generate towards them? So we start out with the foundation. We build a solid foundation for people. One, their attitude. Their attitude towards themselves, so they believe in themselves. Their attitude towards their organization, their products and services, the team they represent in the organization, and of course, their attitude towards the buyer and their market, and how to do things differently. Rather than walking in with a briefcase full of material, walk in with a notebook. Show that you're there to listen, to learn. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. You do that by taking notes and asking questions. Then we took a look at behavior, the things you need to do on a daily basis. But first we take a look at personal behavior. It all starts with the focus on you, and then your behavior towards your organization, and then your behavior towards the market. And here's where we get into what we call the 80-20 rule, and 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your customers, profiling them so you know what to go and target in on. And it's all based on what we call a ROTI formula. ROTI, R-O-T-I, stands for return on time invested. Time is limited, so we have to make the best use of our time. And each day we look at ways, how can I get the best ROTI out of this encounter? So we teach salespeople how to do things differently. We could do a one-on-one, Ernesto, half an hour, sales call. Yep. Or I could do 1 on 100. Where am I going to get the best ROTI?
1 on 100.
Exactly. So we teach them to do these kind of things so that they get a better return on investment. Also, the other thing is to stop chasing customers and to be sought after by customers. In other words, my retirement definition was to be sought after. I got to that. So it's taking the strategies, and rather than having a push, we do a pull and gain people to come towards us. Yeah. So that's a part of the personal marketing plan. But then what we've done is we've given them a sales system to follow. The sales system is quite simple. Number one, if you can't build rapport, if you can't get someone's trust, you're not going anywhere. So the first thing we need to do is put the focus on the buyer. Get them talking, keep them talking. The more they talk, the more we listen, the more we learn, the more we get out of it, and the more they like us. Then we set some ground rules. Oh, by the way, how much time have you set aside for our meeting? What is it you'd like to accomplish? It's okay if I take some notes. Do you mind if I ask some questions? And by the way, if I can't help you, is it okay if I say no? And what we do is get the customer feeling comfortable with no, because we can't solve all the world's problems. Yeah. And then, of course, what we look for in step 3 is buying motivators. What are their pains or pleasures? What are they looking for? Financial ability. What kind of a budget have they set aside for this? And then decision-making. When will they be making a decision, and who besides yourself is involved in the decision-making process? Then we summarize everything we've learned. And it's at this step we know whether we've got a buyer, a qualified buyer in front of us or not. Then we don't give a presentation, we give what we call a prescription. A solution to their problems within their time frame and their budget and their decision-making capabilities so that they can make a decision. And before I give them that prescription is, remember earlier I said to you I'd tell you yes or no whether I could help you? And you could say no right there if they're not qualified. Or you could say, yes, I can. I'm ready to give you a solution to your problems. Are you still okay with giving me a yes or no answer at the end of my presentation? We always are seeking commitment as we move forward. Yeah. We give a prescription, and then the close is very simple, where we engage and empower the buyer to buy based on a simple technique. For example, on a scale of 1 to 10. 1, this is not the product for you. 10, you see yourself using it. Below 6, it's your fault. You take the blame. 7, 8, or 9, what's it going to take to get you to a 10? You deal with it. When they say 10, your closing line is very simple. What would you like me to do next? Yeah. And then the final step is maintaining the relationship, the friendship, so that they become your secondary sales force and start sending more business your way.
Exactly. No, that sounds perfect. Now, is this a book, or is it a training package, or what is exactly the velocity system?
Okay, the buyer-focused velocity selling system, it's the book, Up Your Bottom Line. And then what we're doing as well is, we have audio programs and video, etc. with it, but it's also a training program. The training program, we do anything from one-day public seminars, like in a lot of places, to 3-day in-house, but the key one is to do ongoing training. And we're now looking at trying to do an ongoing training program over the course of 1 year. So every week you get a lesson online with, webinars like we're doing now, or seminars, teleseminars, so that people could learn as individuals. Because what we're finding is there's more and more people that are independent looking for sales training, and it's not a corporate program. So we're trying to find ways of making it affordable for everybody to learn the system and be more buyer-focused.
Fantastic. Okay, so if people would actually like to enroll in your course or find out more about you as a speaker, to actually bring you to speak into their corporation, because I think, first, I think it's a great investment having you there in any of the companies. So, just not only as an individual, but also as a company, where can they find out more about the velocity selling system and about you?
Well, you can go to bobu.com. Everything is there. There's a free white paper people can download, and they could also email me. Just bob@bobu.com, bob@bobu.com.
Excellent. All right, then. Well, once again, thank you very much for being on the show.
Well, this pretty much wraps it up for today. I am here with Princess Jasmine, my daughter Nina, and my son Vincent, and we will just continue exploring this fantastic city of Istanbul. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.